Hello and welcome to everybody on Cloud Fitness. So in today's video, we are going to talk about Databricks SQL Analytics. We are actually going to have a hands-on session and see what exactly Databricks SQL Analytics can do. We will explore various features of it as well. Now, moving ahead, I would definitely like to clarify a few basic concepts so that, when we will actually do hands-on session, it will make really more sense. So whenever we work on Databricks, we already, I have talked about the data engineering workspace. You have ML workspace as well, significantly defined. And then you have a SQL workspace as well. So when you talk about SQL workspace, what exactly it is? It is nothing but it is a specially designed workspace where you can run your SQL workloads. The data analysts can actually come in, they can query the tables that are present inside SQL Analytics. They can create visuals from those outputs. They can make a dashboard out of all those visuals, and then they can, just share those dashboards as well. So basically, it is a place for the data analysts to come in and query the data and prepare the dashboards out of it. And not just that, there are multiple linkings as well. You can link your SQL workspace to the Power BI, to the Tableau as well. Now let's move ahead and let's summarize what exactly Databricks SQL does. When you talk about Databricks SQL, it actually provides you with a simple experience for SQL users. So basically, whenever you talk about data analysts, so they are mostly into using SQL, right? So it is a definitely enhanced performance, enhanced experience for the SQL users who would actually want to run ad hoc queries on their data lake. So they can run queries on the Delta tables. They can run the queries on the tables that even the data engineers can produce for them, and then they can create multiple visualizations on top of that. They can explore the query, they can create the multiple visualization, they can create a bar chart, they can create multiple types of charts which are available. They can create those visualizations and then put it in a dashboard and then share that dashboard as well. So that is basically the whole Databricks SQL in a nutshell. But yes, when you talk about this Databricks SQL, you also have something called a SQL Endpoints. So when you talk about the SQL Endpoints, in data engineering workspace, you had clusters, right? So in the similar way, in Databricks SQL, you actually have SQL Endpoints. So SQL Endpoints are nothing but the compute resources. So they are actually very much optimized to run your SQL queries. And in fact, whenever you have number of concurrent users as well, it performs really very well. We will actually see it in detail on, where in a moment, then it will be more clear actually. Similarly, dashboards for sharing inside, you can share the dashboards that are prepared by data analysts. And at the same time, there are alerts option as well. So when I say alert option, let's say you prepared a query based and you have some metrics of that query, right? So let's say the metric is the price. Wherever price reaches a certain limit, certain threshold, in that case, just alert the business or just alert the person responsible for that. So those kind of alerts option is also available. Not just that, your Databricks SQL can easily integrate with your Azure Active Directory. You can have your role-based control as well in this. Now, apart from that, definitely you can integrate it to your Synapse Analytics, Cosmos DB, Data Lake Store, as well as your blob storage. And no doubt you can integrate it with Power BI and Tableau software as well. Now let's move ahead to the portal where we will actually see how, what are the different properties that we can leverage from this. So right now I am in my Databricks workspace. If you see on the left hand side, I have this data science and engineering, then I have machine learning, and then I have SQL. So this SQL is actually the Databricks SQL Analytics or the Databricks SQL that I'm talking about. So let's click on this SQL and see what exactly do we have here. So right now what you see on the screen over here is nothing but the Databricks SQL UI. So UI is quite simple. In fact, it shows you almost everything on the first page itself. So the very first thing over here, SQL query editor. If you want to create a query, you can directly go ahead, click here. Right. Similarly, if you want to analyze a collection or a sample of the data, you have it here. Similarly, if you want to see and explore sample dashboard, you have it here. Similarly, you can go ahead and connect to BI tool. So even in the case you are coming here for the first time, it's very easy to go through all of this. And at the same time, you also have on the left hand side, you also have run your first query, import sample dashboard, explore available data. So you have all this. In case you want to do that, if you well and good, you can try all these options in the first go. But for now, we will actually go ahead and see what exactly we can do over here. On the left hand side, if you click on this create option over here, you have an option of query, dashboard, alert, and SQL endpoint. So SQL endpoint is something that I was talking to you about. Alert also I explained, dashboard and query also I explained. Now these options are also present over here individually. Apart from that, you have an option of data where you can actually visualize your tables, right? You have your tables over here, and then you have SQL endpoints as well. You have your query history where you can go ahead and see what all queries were run. Now let's click on SQL endpoints to see how it exactly is. So right now you can see that I have a starter endpoint. I have a SQL endpoint named as starter endpoint already running. For now, let's go ahead, click on create a SQL endpoint. Now, the moment I provide name over here, you can also see that I have to choose a cluster size, right? So the cluster size here is not like your Databricks cluster when you need to choose the number of cores, the number of machines you want to use, the type of machine that you want to use. Instead, here it is small, medium, large, or extra large that you need to choose from. Pretty much very simple UI it is. You just only see the number of GPUs consumed. That's all, right? And similarly, in case you want to have an auto stop, you want to terminate this SQL endpoint after certain minutes of inactivity, you can go ahead and do that as well. Scaling is an option when the number of concurrent users increases. In that case, you can go ahead and do the scaling as well. The moment you click on advanced option over here, right? Tags are the quite normal things, because when you'll have multiple SQL endpoints, then in that case, if you have tags over here, it will actually help you out a lot to identify your SQL endpoint. And similarly, you have an option of Photon over here. If you hover over this icon, you can actually see that Photon is a polymorphic vectorized execution engine designed to speed up your SQL workloads. So right now it is in enable state, right? So when I say Photon, in fact, in case you have not watched my video on Photon in Databricks, I do recommend watching my videos. So in case this is, if you search Photon in Databricks, you will actually find this video that I posted 2 months ago in Photon in Databricks. So this might help you a lot in understanding it better. But yeah, the SQL endpoint is actually very much optimized to run your SQL queries in the backend for sure. And do remember to enable this Photon option, especially when you're working with SQL endpoints. Now, this I have briefly explained about the SQL endpoints. Let's click on the SQL endpoint that is already there. So these are my configurations and it is running. And similarly, you have your connection details as well. So in case you want to connect to your Power BI, or you want to connect to your Tableau, these connection details will actually come in handy. They will really come in handy. It will ask you for the host name. It will ask you for the HTTP path, which you can provide it from here. And similarly, if you go to the monitoring tab, you can actually see the execution of your these endpoints as well. So now in this case, I am in the Databricks left hand panel, and if you click on this data side right now, just above the SQL endpoint, let me click on this data. Right now you can see in this data explorer you have these are the set of tables that you have right here. Right, if I click over here, you have your Hive Metastore, you have your samples, right? And then you have something called as default. So default database is basically your Hive Metastore default database. And in that you just I have one table named as diamond table, right? Now I can go ahead and create a query on that. But for now, I don't want to do that. I want to show you how I can create a table in my data engineering workspace and then use that table over here, right? Use that table over here to create query, to create dashboards, right? So now if I'll go back, I'll actually, so this is my Databricks workspace. If you see, it is data science and engineering workspace. So I want to create a table here, right? So let me do that first. So the very first thing I want to explain you here is, before moving on, right, you should be very well clear about the concept of managed and unmanaged tables in Databricks, right? And for that, I have already made a video. You can type managed and unmanaged tables in Databricks and you will actually see my video over here. I do recommend watching this video because that is a very useful video, especially for this one. Now, in case, first what I'll do is I'll create a managed table over here. When I say managed table, that both data and metadata is being managed by Databricks, and same I have explained in detail in the video. So let me create let me create a range from 1 to 10, right? So let me simply run this cell first. So this is nothing but a simple range function over here. Let me try to zoom it. So what you can see over here is I have created just a range from 0 to 10. Now this range I can actually save as a table. Let me try to save it. Now this table that I have created, this is a managed table, right? It does not have a location. So location and everything that is specified by Databricks, right? And once I delete this table, both the data and the underlying metadata related to this table will get deleted. Now once I run this, since this is a managed table, if I'll go back, so now in fact this is done. So I have written the data. Now in fact I can go ahead and do a select star as well. So let me just do a select star over here. It will actually show you a range of numbers that we have done. Now you can actually see that it has a range of numbers, right? So exactly. Now again let me make it a little small. And yes, now if I go to my SQL endpoint, to my same SQL workspace, and again I go back to the data tab, and inside my default, now you can actually see that data table UT4 is present, which was not present earlier, right? So from where did this table come up? Because it is in Hive Metastore. When I say Hive Metastore, it is being actually managed by Databricks, right? And I have created a managed table over here. So the moment you create a managed table, you will actually see that in Data Explorer, you will see those tables. Now, the second point is, what if you don't want to create a managed table? Now, in case you do not want to create a managed table, in that case, you will go to SQL Endpoint and in fact, you can go to the settings tab over here and you can go to the SQL admin console and you will see that you have an option of SQL endpoint settings over here. So in case you are trying to create a managed table, then you need to add a service principal here for it, so that your SQL workspace can access that table. But for this demo, we are going to create a managed table only. So let me go back to my workspace, my data engineering workspace again, and let me try to create a table for you again. So now let's, right now I'm reading a data frame. I'm just simply reading a file in form of a data frame in my data engineering workspace, and then I'm trying to create a managed table again. Then I'm trying to use that data frame to create a managed table named as Iris Dataset Manage. And now if I go back to my data tab in SQL Workspace, in the default, you will actually see that I have Iris Dataset Managed as well. So now let's click on this particular table that we have, and you can see on the left hand side that this is the schema for your table that you have over here. Similarly, for the sample data also, whatever data is there in that table, you can actually see the sample data over here. Let me in fact close this left hand side. And similarly, you can see the details that what is the location of that data set, like that table, whether it is a managed table or unmanaged table. You can actually see that it is a managed table. It shows it over here, right? And similarly, if you want to grant a particular user permission over this table, you can simply click on grant over here. You can select whatever options that you want to grant, and you can select any user. Right now I do not have any user over here, but yeah, you can definitely grant the privileges over here. Similarly, in the history tab also, you can actually see the details, right, that when the table was created, how it was created, and what in which format and how it was created. Similarly, I'll go back to the sample data, and you can see actually this is the sample data that is being loaded over here. Now we'll go back to the queries tab over here, and I will actually click on create query options over here. Now I'm going to use the same table and I'll try to create a query, right? So I have this table. I'll just click on this table over here on this arrow symbol. If you create, it will just write you the name of this data set. Now I can simply do select start from this table, and we can simply go ahead and run this statement over here. You will actually see that you really get the results so fast. Now in this case, if you actually want to save this query, you can click on the save option over here. This query will be saved, and you also see an option of add visualization over here. You can click on this particular option and you can try to create a visualization over it. So I'm just randomly picking it up. I do not have anything in my mind before creating it, so I'm just randomly choosing these things up. Let's see, for X column we are choosing petal width, for Y column we are choosing species. Let's group by species. And so guys, do not try to drive any meaning out of it. I'm just randomly doing it just to show that the visualization works. That's the only motive over here. And similarly, if you want to change colors and all, you can go ahead and do it. If you want to add a data label over here, you can do it. All those things, definitely that aesthetic part of it is available. You can go ahead and do it. But for now, I have shown you how to create a visualization, and let me click on save over here. And now you can see that the visualization is saved. And so now what I can go do here is, let me randomly try to add another visualization over it so that it is even more evident when I'm trying to create a dashboard here. So let me group by some column, and here you go, you have something. And definitely I'm not trying to aesthetically modify it, so I'm just clicking on save over here. So now you see that I have two options over here, visualization 1 and visualization 2, and I can actually change the names as well. Now we have the visualizations. So now let's go to the dashboards on the left hand side, and let's click on create a dashboard. You can give your dashboard any name. So let's say I'm giving random name of test YouTube. Let's hit save, and then you have your dashboard. And in this dashboard, you can actually see that you have an option to choose to add a visualizations, right? So here you basically go ahead and just link your SQL endpoint and then click on add visualization. Now these are the queries that I had run in past, or they were available by default. So the new query that we have built, that we actually did not name it anything, but that's new query. Let's click on that, and then you can see that inside that query I have built two visualizations, right? So now let's choose one visualization and click on add to dashboard. So now you will see that one of that visualization got added to the dashboard. Similarly, I'll go ahead again, click that new query and add the second visualization to the dashboard. So you will actually see that both these visualizations got added to the dashboard. So basically, this is how you can build up your dashboard. Of course, you can build it in a more sense than what I have done right now. You can go ahead, you can download it as a PDF, and in case you want to clone it, you can go ahead and clone it as well. If you want to share this dashboard, you have an option. You can go ahead and share this dashboard as well. Also on the left hand side, you have an option of alerts. So let me go ahead and click on this option of alert, and let us create a new alert. So for this alert, we have to actually choose the query. So I'll choose the new query that we have developed, and in that you know that we had a column of SQL length. So whenever it is greater than, let's say, you can write any threshold according to your data. So let's say if it is greater than 10, then in that case just trigger a notification. You can go ahead, choose a default template or choose a custom template. Custom template, you have to define your your own format. Otherwise you can use a default template as well, and then you can go ahead and click on create, right? So this is how your and then whom you want to send those alerts as well, right? So that kind of thing is also available here in the alert section. Similarly, if you go to this query history option over here, you will actually see that what were the queries performed on this particular endpoint. So this is pretty much that I wanted to cover in this particular video. I hope you liked it, you enjoyed the video, you like this new feature as well of Databricks, and do remember to like, subscribe and share to my channel. Thank you so much for being till here.